All right, old school NBA fans, got another video for you. Now this one's kind of like a part B to the one I did yesterday about the MJ's opposing shooting guards. How they're a bunch of tiny little guys, and which again I don't even understand how that matters at all. People don't understand. If you look at Michael Jordan's, you look at his playoff history. He lost to teams that actually had small guards and struggled with small guards. You can go right down the line. The Pistons with Isaiah Dumars and Vinnie Johnson. Boston with who was it? Well, obviously it was Ainge and Johnson. I'm trying to remember who the other guard was. It's not coming to mind. And then Milwaukee, who had Craig Hodges, who was 6'2", Sidney Moncrief, and Paul Pressey, all 6'4" and shorter. So he actually struggled with shorter guys than he did the bigger ones. The Reggie Millers and the John Starks and the Steve Smiths. He beat all those guys. No problem at all. But anyway, this is a part B, and what I wanted to get into was the other side of that. We want to talk about how good the shooting guards, or how big they were in that era. Well, what about the rim protectors in that era versus what we've had, say, in the last 20 years? Well, when I look at, say, Jordan retired in 03, right? So right after Michael Jordan retired, 2003, 2004. Here's who the all-star centers were in the league in 03, 04. Ben Wallace, they won the championship, Hall of Fame player. Jamal McGlure, Yao Ming, he's in the Hall of Fame. Shaq, obviously a top 12 player probably of all time. And Brad Miller. And the next year in 05, you got Zydrunas Ilgauskas, LeBron James' teammate. Wallace, O'Neal, Amari Stoudemire technically was a center, and Yao Ming. They're decent. 06, you got Chris Bosh, who was playing center. He was the all-star. Ben Wallace, Shaq, and Yao Ming. Okay, not bad. But then when you look at the other guys, you got, Dwight Howard. He was young, but up and coming. Marcus Camby, Chris Kaman, Brad Miller, Eddie Curry. These were like the best 10 centers in the league. I mean, okay, so we'll fast forward a little bit. Let's go and look at 2010, okay? LeBron's last year on Cleveland. Kobe Bryant won his back-to-back that year. Chris Bosh, he was the all-star. Dwight Howard was an all-star. Al Horford and Chris Kaman, those were your all-stars. The other top 10 centers that I could find were David Lee, Brooke Lopez, Andrew Bynum, Marc Gasol, and Al Jefferson. Okay, whatever, decent. All right. Let's fast forward a little bit. Maybe we'll go to let's say 2015. That'll be LeBron James's first year on Cleveland on the second stint. You got Al Horford, DeAndre Jordan, DeMarcus Cousins, Marc Gasol, Anthony Davis, young player. Those were basically the best centers in the league. The other ones were Greg Monroe, Al Jefferson, Nikola Vukovic, Andrew Bogut, who was an all-defense that year. 2018, Joel Embiid, Andre Drummond, Dwight Howard, Rudy Gobert, LaMarcus Aldridge, Karl Anthony Towns, Nikola Jokic, DeAndre Jordan, Al Horford, Marc Gasol. Some pretty good names in there, decent players. Okay, now for the defensive guys, because that's really what I'm talking about here, is rim protection. The defensive-minded guys. Who have been some of the centers recently who have won Defensive Player of the Year? Last year, Jaren Jackson Jr. won it. Okay, he averaged 3 blocks a game. Rudy Gobert won it in 21, 19, and 18. Okay, 3-time winner. You got Joakim Noah in 14, the famous Marc Gasol in 2013, Tyson Chandler in 2012, Dwight Howard won it in 11, 10, 9, Marcus Camby in 07, and Ben Wallace won it in 06, 05, 03, 02. Okay. Pretty good names in there, some of them, whatever. Now let's look at some of the defensive players of the year before that. You got Dikembe Mutombo in 01, 98, 97, and 95. He's averaging anywhere from 3 to 4 blocks a game in there. You got Alonzo Mourning in there twice. He averaged 3.7 and 3.9 blocks. Now, any of the players I just named ahead of there, the highest one on this list was Marcus Camby in 07 at 3.3. Well, let's see how many players before 2000 did better than 3.3 blocks. Alonzo Mourning in 2000, 99, 3.9, 3.7. Mutombo in 98 at 3.4. Mutombo in 95, 3.9. Olajuwon in 94, 3.7. Olajuwon in 93, 4.2. David Robinson in 92, 4.5. I think you see where I'm going with all this. Mark Eaton in 89 at 3.8. And Mark Eaton in 85 had 5.6 blocks per game. You don't see that kind of rim protection. Now, in Michael Jordan's era, these are the centers that he was dealing with. His rookie year, right out of the gate. Robert Parrish, Moses Malone, Akeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's 4 top 75 players right there. Then, other guys that are in the Hall of Fame, Jack Sikma, Artis Gilmore, Ralph Sampson, all in the Hall of Fame. And then the other ones were like Bill Laimbeer and Mark Eaton, who's like a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, a bunch of all defenses. That's what he was dealing with there. So, okay, we'll fast forward to, say, 1990. We'll just go to 90. Here's who was in the league then. You had Robert Parrish, Patrick Ewing, Brad Daugherty, Moses Malone, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Bill Laimbeer, Roy Tarpley. If you don't know who he was something until he got into drug problems and whatnot. But some pretty damn good centers in there. Now, how about 93? That would have been Jordan's end of his second three-peat. You had Patrick Ewing, who was an all-star. Shaq was an all-star. Brad Daugherty was an all-star. Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson were all-stars. You also had Robert Parrish. He was getting to the end of his career. Vlade Divac, Dikembe Mutombo were Hall of Famers. So, out of the top 10 centers in this list, Ewing, Shaq, Ronnie Cycli, Daugherty, Mourning, Hakeem, Robinson, Mutombo, Divac, and Parrish. The only ones not in the Hall of Fame were Daugherty and Cycli, and I got to believe Daugherty would have been if he wouldn't have got hurt and ended his career in 94. That year in 93, he was averaging 20 points, 10.2 rebounds. He had multiple All-NBAs. He was a really quality player. Okay, let's fast forward to, say, 1998, Jordan's retirement year, right? You got Alonzo Mourning in the Hall of Fame, Patrick Ewing, top 75, Chris Webber, Hall of Fame, Ronnie Cycli, Rick Smits. Rick Smits was an all-star that year. Dikembe Mutombo, Hall of Fame. David Robinson, top 75 player. Hakeem Olajuwon, top 10 player. Shaquille O'Neal, top 12 player. Arvydas Sabonis, Hall of Famer. As you can see, there's much better centers in the league in Michael Jordan's era. And you want to talk about top shelf? If you looked at all the centers of all time, say like the top 12, okay, 15. You got Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Shaq. That's probably got to be 5 of the top 12 right there. But if you go back to what I was looking at, Jordan's rookie year, here's some different guys that he played against. Robert Parrish, he's got to be a top 15 center all time, I would think. Moses Malone, no doubt about it. Hakeem Olajuwon, no doubt about it. Artis Gilmore, I would say yes. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So he probably played against 10 of the top, 12 centers of all time. Probably Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, a couple he didn't play against, that before that time. I'm sure Jokic and Embiid eventually will be. But anyway, this is my part B to that crap about Jordan played against a bunch of tiny, white shooting guards. Was the centers he had to deal with. He wasn't going up against Tyson Chandler and, Marc Gasol and Joakim Noah. He was going up against Olajuwon, Ewing, Mourning, Shaq, Mutombo. In his conference, almost all those guys, other than Robinson and Olajuwon, Rick Smits. I mean, there was some very good players. Moses Malone, Robert Parrish. These guys were in his conference. Brad Doherty. That's it for now.